Howdy my totally tubular gamers. We're back with another video. Let's get to it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure how, but January has come and gone. We are officially in February. January is finished, done, dead, whatever you want to call it, and I thought I would talk about all of the games I played in January. Going forward, I would like to do one of these for every month. I think it's fun to update everybody on what I'm playing, what I've been up to in life, and then at the end of the year I can look back over the entire year and really reminisce. And I'd love to know what everybody else is up to as well. You can let me know down below and we'll get a discussion going. But anyway, let's talk about January. So January really was my recharge month. I didn't play as many games as I normally do. I didn't put out like a shit ton of videos like I did say last month. I actually went outside, touched some grass, I went on a skiing trip, I went on a trip or two, and really just tried to take it easy. I really wanted to recharge after the crazy month that December was when I was putting a video out like every other day. January is also pretty slow for YouTube. That's just kind of how it always is. But I have started live streaming quite a bit more. I'm going to try to stream a few times every week, so if you want to hop in and chill with me, that would be pretty cool. I also do have a Twitch, which I'm trying to get affiliate on, but you need 50 followers, and yeah, most people don't want to leave YouTube, so hey, if you got a Twitch, I'd appreciate if you followed me on there. Anyway, let's actually talk about the games. So in January, I did play a number of games, and I did actually finish 6 whole games. But what was I actually playing? Let's get into it, and yes, I know that was a bit of a long intro. I apologize, but we're only going to be talking about games going forward. So the first 2 games I want to talk about are I'm on Observation Duty 7 and 6. Now, you might not have ever heard of these games. I had never heard of them before January, but my partner let me know about them and said that we should play one of them together, and we sat down and played I'm on Observation Duty 7 and ended up enjoying the game so much that I actually went back to I'm on Observation Duty 6 and played through that as well. So what the hell even are these games? I'm so glad you asked. They're kind of a mix of like Five Nights at Freddy's, but also I Spy, but very much are still horror games that I would say are actually decently scary. So essentially what the game is you observing a number of cameras. You'll pick a location, and you'll be switching between like 5 different cameras, and essentially you're looking for anomalies, but these anomalies aren't super obvious for the most part. It's not like, oh, there's some giant monster attacking the camera. That does happen occasionally, but most of the time it's really subtle shit. Like, for instance, there'll be one where you're observing someone's house and there's 3 towels on the wall. You might occasionally switch over to that camera and there's 4 towels on the wall. The anomaly would be extra. There's an extra towel. There might also only be 2 towels, so the anomaly would be that there's a towel missing. It's really small, specific, detail-oriented shit, and you're gonna have to absolutely focus to find all of the anomalies and differences. If you let an anomaly go untested, unseen, I guess, then you will actually die and you will have to start the whole night over. And each night is like 10 to 15 minutes long. It's longer than even Five Nights at Freddy's. Sometimes the anomalies are really obvious, but for the most part, you really got to be examining every environment incredibly closely to figure out what's missing, what's changed, what's added, etc., etc. Sometimes a camera might be just straight missing. That's an anomaly in itself. And Observation Duty 7 has 6 different levels, and these were all really fun to go through, examining everything, trying to spot all of the differences, and occasionally, yeah, some real ass anomalies do show up where like a crazy monster shows up on screen, and every time that happened, it absolutely got me, because you'll find yourself like so focused on all of the little details that when something crazy happens, like it's just so out of nowhere, it absolutely is a jump scare. But this game genuinely got me numerous times. I would actually say that this is a scary game, and I totally recommend it. Yeah, it's a bit more budget, it seems a bit silly, and watching gameplay, it might look kind of boring. But genuinely, there really is like nothing else like this. I found this just incredibly fascinating. It's got an interesting atmosphere. It's actually very challenging. Like, you're gonna really be nitpicking and examining almost pixels out here. And then you also gotta worry about if some crazy anomaly or creature is gonna show up and just scare the shit out of you. Yeah, it can get a bit tense. Yes, it is very indie. It is only on PC. It is sadly not on consoles, but I think it was actually pretty good and I was very impressed. So much so, I went back and played the previous one. I'm on Observation Duty 6. And while this one isn't as good as 7, still think it is good. It is even more budget than 7. It doesn't go as crazy with the I Spy elements. It's certainly not as challenging. and it scared me less, but it was also better in one aspect where you don't need to be crazy specific like you do in 7. In 7, you have to explain what every single anomaly basically is. You have to say, oh, there's something extra here, something's missing, something's different. In 6, you just say, I think there's an anomaly here, which is a bit more simplified, and I actually like that. If I was going to recommend one of the two, I'm going to go with I'm on Observation Duty 7. Again, it's only on Steam, but it genuinely is one of the most surprisingly scary games I've played in quite some time. This one would probably be a good one to stream actually and have everybody helping me, but since I've played both of these games already, I do know what to look for when it comes to the anomalies. Maybe I'll check out the rest of the series. Do an entire ranking of this tiny little series that nobody's ever heard of. Well, I will champion this series and tell you that if you like horror games, this might be up your alley. And the developer didn't send me this or anything. I went out of my way to check this out, and yeah, I enjoyed both of these games. The next game I want to talk about is one that I actually talked about in a recent ranking video, and that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This one came out in December, but I was just so busy with videos and finishing a few games from 2024 that I just never even got around to it, unfortunately. That's why it wasn't in my top 60 games of 2024, and you know, if I had included it in my top 60 games of 2024, I think this one would have been pretty high because it actually is really damn good. Like I said, I recently talked about this one in a ranking video where I ranked all of Bethesda's games from the 2020s, so if you want to know my full thoughts on it, you can watch that video. To keep things simple and short, I'll just say I think the game's really good. It's impressive. It really feels like an Indiana Jones movie. Harrison Ford's great. The presentation is excellent. The whip is maybe the best whip of any video game. Sorry, Castlevania. The puzzles are thoughtful, and the side content is exceptional. I was really impressed by the side content. It's not cookie cutter crap. It's actually really good. The pacing's great throughout, and I really like the approach they took. I think it's also very impressive that we have an Indiana Jones game that plays nothing like Uncharted or Tomb Raider. Like, I don't know how this happened, but I really digged it. This game, it's a good one. So another game I played through was definitely a game I never expected to be playing through, and that is Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. So this was the Ninja Gaiden game that was shadow dropped during that Xbox Developer Direct, and yeah, I played through the entire game on stream actually, and I gotta say, this game was awesome. I love Ninja Gaiden 2. I played it back on the 360, then I played Sigma, and here I am playing through the game a third time, and it's just as awesome as ever. This is easily the definitive way to play the game, as well as it has all of the Sigma stuff, but it brought back the gore from Ninja Gaiden 2 on the 360, which Sigma for some reason had toned down. The gore is actually really good in this game. The presentation is phenomenal. This game really basically is a remake of the original game. They ported it to Unreal Engine 5, and it's a real looker. It's got ray tracing, the lighting's great, the animation is awesome. The gore, like I said, is really good shit, and it all ran very well on my computer. I was impressed with the graphics, and the gameplay really holds up. It shows that there's just not enough straight action games anymore. Dark Souls and Souls-likes really changed how action games are, I feel like, and there just isn't enough straight action games like Ninja Gaiden, and hopefully with this, it really can start to come back. They also announced Ninja Gaiden 4, which will be pretty similar to this as well, and I'm hopeful for the future. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, this was a really awesome time. It was refreshing. It's just as violent as I remember it. It was really fun to play through it on stream with everybody, and it makes me really hopeful for the Ninja Gaiden future. It had been a long time since there had been a Ninja Gaiden game, and this is the best way to reintroduce everybody to the series, is with a kick-ass remake like this. If you're somebody that likes the Ninja Gaiden franchise, then maybe this one is worth checking out. It is on Game Pass, so if you have that, then yeah, I totally think it's worth trying. Otherwise, yeah, it is a bit pricey at $50, but I'm sure it'll go cheap soon enough. Either way, it was just really cool to see this. So another game that I started in January was actually Ys 10. This one came out last year, but I just did not get around to it, and then NIS America actually reached out to me with a code for it, and I was like, you know what, yeah, I'll give it a shot, and big shout out to them for hooking me up with this. And I gotta say, after spending a number of hours with it, yeah, I've actually been enjoying it. I like the Ys series. I've never really talked about it on the channel, but I think there's some pretty great action RPGs in this one. It absolutely continues that. It's got an intriguing enough story about Adol looking for treasure, but then getting linked up with this mysterious woman and just trying to figure out what's happening on this island. I think the story's intriguing where I'm at so far. I will say it is a bit slower than the other Ys games. It seems like they're kind of fleshing out the world and characters a bit more. The other Ys games are pretty breakneck speed when it comes to their pacing. The story really isn't all that important in this one. yeah, it felt like they were trying to develop the characters and world a bit more, which is an interesting decision. At the very least, though, the action is pretty good. It is solid action JRPG combat. It feels nice for the most part. There's a number of combos and special abilities. You actually get to play as other characters. Well, I've only gotten one other character so far, but I'm sure there are other characters, and yeah, I do enjoy the combat of this game. I like how it looks also. It's got a nice little aesthetic. It's not a looker. This series has never been a looker, but I just like the aesthetic. I like the vibe. The music, Ys always has great music, and it's no exception here. I'm not going to act like the story, gameplay, and world has been blowing me away. It's not absolutely exceptional. It's not to the point where I'm like, all I want to do is play Ys 10, but so far I have been enjoying the game. This is one that I'll probably chip away at throughout the entire year. One day I'd like to rank all the Ys games, but it's probably going to be a while. I still haven't played a few of them. And then there's also the Legend of Heroes Trails series, but those games are just absolutely massive. Who knows if I'll even get to any of those outside of Cold Steel anytime soon. Either way, pretty cool to try this out. So another game I played in January that I've actually put way more time into than I ever thought I would is Buckshot Roulette. I know this one came out in like late 2023, early 2024, but I had never played it until January, and man, I wish I had played this one sooner. I would have been hyping it up, gassing it up on a bunch of those lists I made, because this game is mad fun. The single player is cool and all, but the multiplayer goes crazy for Buckshot Roulette. I don't even really know how exactly to describe this one. Basically, you're taken to this dark, sinister room where you're given a shotgun that you basically get to play Russian roulette with. And you might go, well, how does that work? Basically, some of the shells are blanks and other ones are live. And it's totally random as to which one is which. You're really going to have to be paying attention to how many shells are loaded in and keeping track of which shells have gone. And when it's your turn, you can either shoot the shotgun at the other person you're going up against or shoot it at yourself. But it's not game over if you end up shooting yourself or the other person. You can come back a number of times, and there's actually some real strategy with this. I just immediately found this like wildly entertaining. There's not a lot of games, if any games, that play anything like this, and then the game actually introduces items and it becomes just really crazy. The items really mix things up, and I found myself thinking about this game long after I had finished it. I was just like, man, that was a really good game actually. And then I tried the multiplayer with a few friends, and oh, it was all over. The multiplayer is so fun for this game. If you have never tried Buckshot Roulette multiplayer and you're looking for a cheap, fun, quick little game to play with a few friends, this should 100% be on your radar. It is only on PC, unfortunately, but it's also only like $2, which is pretty nice. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this game, way more than I ever thought I would. Like, it seemed like just kind of a simple, goofy little game, but no, this game is actually legit. It's kind of scary, but it also has a really great atmosphere, and the music actually slaps. Like, the music is genuinely really good in Buckshot Roulette. This game is very good. I 100% recommend it, and I would have been shilling it a lot more if I had played it sooner. Okay, so the next game I want to talk about is Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles. This got a remaster pretty recently by Aspyr, and they were nice enough to send me a code for it, so major shout out to Aspyr for that. But the only reason I really wanted to check this out is because it's one of the rare Star Wars games from like the late 90s, early 2000s that I actually haven't checked out, and yeah, I absolutely can see why I didn't check this one out when I was younger. It's just not a very good game. Don't get it twisted, as a remaster, I think it is pretty good. It is a good remaster. The game works at modern resolutions, modern controls, the interface is better, and there's some little additional bonuses, extra characters, etc. I don't really have any complaints about the remaster side of things. I think that's all well and good and way better than the Battlefront collection from last year. The problem is the actual game itself. This game is like okay at best. It is a very shallow beat 'em up that is just not very enjoyable. I've played plenty of beat 'em ups before, and this game just kind of felt like a chore right from the get-go. So the most important part of a beat 'em up is how it feels to beat up enemies. It's kind of in the name of like the genre. And I'll be real, if beating up enemies isn't nice in your beat 'em up, it's probably not going to be a very good game, and this game is a prime example of that. It just feels really awkward, stilted, clunky, and it just doesn't have a nice flow to it whatsoever. The combos are super basic and barely make any sense. The enemies continuously stun lock you, and I never felt like I got a good grasp on the controls like at all. The level design was nothing special. There are some set pieces that show up here and there, but yeah, there really wasn't much here. They try to have a little variety with these levels, and yeah, I really just wasn't picking up what this game was putting down. It looks fine for a PS1 game, I guess, and there's a decent amount of fan service to Episode 1. I mean, Episode 1 is okay, I guess. I'd rather watch that than any of the sequels. And by that I mean 7, 8, and 9. At least the world building was pretty good in Episode 1. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about Episode 1 of Star Wars. This game, yeah, I really wasn't enjoying it all that much. Fine remaster, but the actual game itself, I don't really know if this was worth remastering. I'd rather see a remaster of a few other Star Wars games instead, like Dark Forces 2. It really feels like they've kind of run out of Star Wars games to remaster at this point, so they're just like, fuck it. Let's just get everything out there, including Jedi Power Battle. I'm sure Demolition is coming eventually, but to keep it 100, Demolition is a better game. So sorry, Aspire, the game itself really just isn't very good. At least your remaster was decent here, but the Legacy of Kain and Tomb Raider collections were kind of just much better, and you know, better games to begin with. At the end of the day, even for the most die-hard Star Wars fans, I wouldn't really recommend this one. But the negativity doesn't end there, because the next game we're talking about is Hyper Light Breaker. So this is the sequel to Hyper Light Drifter, which I still have not played. I would like to play it at some point. I've heard it's fantastic. But anyway, I was sent a code for this one, so major shout out to the publisher for hooking me up with it. I wish I had nicer things to say about it. The game was released into early access last month, and I don't usually mess around with early access games just because a lot of the time it's unfinished buggy messes and you end up losing all of your progress anyway, but I was like, you know what, 2025, I'm going to try some early access games. I'm going to try that Tokyo Extreme Racer, which is actually pretty awesome. I'm going to give early access games a fair shot. I gave this game a fair shot, and yeah, I don't want to try any more early access games. This is like why I don't like early access. The game is just wildly unfinished, and it's not very good, like at all in its current state. It's going to need a lot of work before this becomes a good game. I might be hypercritical with this one, haha. You see what I did there? I was just not picking up what this game was putting down whatsoever. I wasn't enjoying like any aspect of it. I wasn't liking the combat. The exploration is really odd. The whole game is randomly generated, which just felt kind of odd for an open world game. The RPG aspects and the abilities were kind of lacking. The movement wasn't great. The game ran like total shit, and it doesn't even look that good to begin with, and it seemed rather unbalanced. Like the difficulty was all over the place. Sometimes the enemies just wipe the floor with you like instantly, and other times you just steamroll them. I don't really know what was going on here. You can play the game cooperatively. I've heard it's better in co-op. Of course it's going to be better in co-op. Well, I didn't play it in co-op. I just wasn't liking this at all. I didn't find it intriguing or fun or entertaining. I was just kind of like, what's happening? There's not really any tutorials or instructions. What does this do? What does this mean? How do I do anything? I'm looking up how to do things. And even then, I'm still not really understanding, and I just wasn't having any fun with it. And I got pretty annoyed with how poorly it was running, even on like medium graphics. This isn't a great looking game. I don't know what the aesthetic they're going for is, but I don't like it. Hyper Light Drifter looks way cooler than this game, and yeah, this one was a bit disappointing. I expected this to be quite a bit better, even in early access, and they got a lot of work on this one. We're going to need some tutorials, maybe some kind of a story. The game needs to be optimized better. The gameplay needs a lot of tweaks and refinements. And I think even the random generation side of things needs a bit of work. There's just a whole lot of things that are needed here, and I absolutely do not recommend this game in its current state. This is why I don't mess with early access games, man. Like, they're just unfinished, broken, buggy messes. And I feel like for every Baldur's Taint 3 or Tokyo Extreme Racer, we get like 20 of these. So yeah, I will not be checking this one out any further. So something else I played in January wasn't just one game, two games. It was actually a few games. I've been cleaning up some of the games I started in 2024 but never got around to finishing, like Metaphor ReFantazio, Dungeons of Hinterberg, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I actually got to like the very end of the game and then just stopped for some reason. Well, I'm trying to finish all of them up in January. There's a lot of new games coming out in February, March, April, etc. And yeah, I probably should have some of these done, so that was what a bit of time went to as well. I probably played the most of Metaphor. I've gotten very far in the game now, and it's fantastic. It really is just such a great game, and it's only gotten better and better. I just keep getting distracted by so many other games. And speaking of games from 2024 that I meant to play or play more of, we have Lego Horizon Adventures. I did get this one in 2024, but I just did not have the capacity or bandwidth to play it up until January. And yeah, sat down for about 4 hours and played through the entire game, and man, I was not missing anything with this one. This game is just really underwhelming and not all that enjoyable. And it's not because I don't like Lego. I actually love Lego games. There are so many wonderful Lego games that I would have no problem recommending, like Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, really any of the Lego Star Wars games or any of the Lego Batman games. But Lego Horizon, yeah, there's just something different here. The magic is absolutely missing. This one was not developed by Traveler's Tales, the people who made all of those other Lego games everybody knows and loves, and it absolutely shows. In the next month or so, I'm going to have a ranking video that will feature this game, and I'll go a bit more in depth there, but I'll just say that this game, it really kind of feels like a baby game. And I don't mean a baby game in the same way that some people call Pokemon a baby game. I mean like this game is made for small children baby game. It is just really basic, easy, simplistic, and at the end of the day, just kind of dull. I didn't really have much fun with it. I will say the game looks amazing. The game absolutely is a great presentation. They totally killed it in that sense. The game is also funny. It has a very good sense of humor. It has that Lego sense of humor. I enjoyed that. I don't really have any issues there. It's the gameplay I have issues with. It's a super simplistic action-adventure game. There's really no puzzles to solve here. There's very, and I mean very little platforming. You just kind of wander forward and get into fights with enemies. The combat is actually decent in this game. It is obviously simplified from the main Horizon games, but it's just not all that exciting for the most part. You just kind of shoot the robots or the people and that's it. You just have unlimited ammo, you just blast away, you get some power-ups here and there. The other characters have different abilities and yeah, that mixes it up a little bit, but it's just really basic combat, even for a Lego game. And you might go, well, all Lego games have super basic combat. They're Lego games. Yeah, but combat isn't also like 85% of the Lego games. Lego games have puzzle solving, exploration, platforming, other things than the combat. This game really almost purely focuses on combat, and the combat's just kind of whatever, so it's like, yeah, this game is just kind of whatever. At least when it comes to the story, I thought it was fine enough. It's kind of a combination of the first two Horizon games, but it is very lighthearted. And so yeah, I found the story, characters, world, and all that at least somewhat entertaining. I wanted to like the game more than I did. I didn't expect it to be great, but I really was just not impressed by this one. And overall, I'd say it's pretty meh. I'd have a hard time recommending this one to legit anybody. So I also did play through one retro game. I played through Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Yes, I finally played through the game. Somebody came into the live stream and was nice enough to send some money and asked me to look at Castlevania, so I sat down and finally played through Rondo of Blood, damn it. And you know what? This game is mad good. I don't know why it took me so long to play it. I've played almost every classic Castlevania game except this one, and I wish I played this one sooner. It's better than almost all of them. It feels nice. The level design is excellent. The story's cool. I like that there's the different routes. The music is really great, actually. The game looks good. It's very replayable, and it was just all around a fantastic game. I'm saving my comments further for a full-on Castlevania video. It's coming. I promise it's coming, but I did play through Rondo of Blood in January, and you know, I guess technically this isn't the only retro game I played since I did play Jedi Power Battles, but the only retro game that actually matters, Rondo of Blood. And then we have the last game I want to talk about today, and that is Dynasty Warriors Origins. This one came out in mid-January, and I was decently excited for it. It had been a long time since a new Dynasty Warriors game, and this one, for the most part, it does not disappoint. I streamed it a few weeks ago, and I thought it was fun on stream, but after playing quite a bit more of it, yeah, I think it's a good game. It is absolutely Dynasty Warriors. If you're somebody who hasn't played Dynasty Warriors in a while, or maybe you did play 9 and didn't like it, I'd recommend this one to you. I think you're going to enjoy it. It plays very much like the ones you know and love, but there are a few unique twists. You actually play as an OC, going through the story of Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and everything feels a little bit more fleshed out than it does in most of the Dynasty Warriors games, where it is rather surface level in some aspects. Here, it definitely feels a bit more intimate and personal, especially with your OC, but the OC is just kind of weird. All of the characters just kind of go head over heels for them, and I didn't think their implementation was great. The story, characters, all that, it was just kind of whatever. But the gameplay, like I said, the gameplay is good. It is very much that almost mindless hack and slash 1 versus 1,000 gameplay that people are looking for. I will say it is definitely versus 1,000. I have never seen so many enemies on screen. It is actually very impressive how many enemies show up on screen, and they can whoop your ass. This is one of the most challenging Dynasty Warriors games in quite some time, and it's not just because of the dumbass AI that go and get their ass whooped every 20 seconds. No, the enemies can actually seriously kick your ass in this game, and the game actually runs pretty well on the computer. It's got a good frame rate, it looks decent enough, and I found the gameplay to be rather enjoyable. Sure, it does get a bit repetitive, especially if you've played literally any of the other Dynasty Warriors games, but that's why people like these games. It's familiar, it's safe, and it still is pretty mindless fun. It's the perfect game to throw a podcast on with, or if you want to unwind after like a long day of work. It's not going to be taxing, it's not a super hardcore, engaging, deep, robust experience, but it's Dynasty Warriors, and it's a good one at that. I also really like the world map. I think that was pretty cool. There's a good amount of content to this game as well over the 20-hour mark, so you'll be playing this one for quite a while if you choose to get it. But overall, I would say this one is worth it. Koei Tecmo also did send me a code, so maybe that is influencing me in some way. Major shout out to them for that, and Ninja Gaiden 2 Black actually, but I genuinely do think that Dynasty Warriors Origins is easily the best Dynasty Warriors game since Dynasty Warriors 8. I mean, 9 was just such a disaster. This is much better. I don't know if I'd say it's the best Warriors game of the 2020s, but I've had some mindless fun with this one. Alright, and that's it for today's video. I talked about a bunch of the games I played in January. You let me know down below what you all have been playing. I'd love to know. Do you like this format? This is just kind of me rambling and going off. I don't have a script or anything like that. I'm just kind of talking, talking on the internet. We're yapping away about these games. This is what I played in January. I'm sure I'll have something else to say in the coming months, maybe more to say, maybe less. We'll all see what happens. There's no way to really know where I'm going to be in a few months other than I'll be making videos, and I'll be live streaming too. If y'all have joined any of the live streams, I really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for joining. Like, seriously, thank you all. I honestly get tears in my eyes and I get emotional just thinking about it. Y'all are awesome. You're still here. I don't even know what to fucking say anymore. I'm just rambling at this point, so we're going to end it. If you made it to this part of the video, you know what to do. Today it's going to be Shark, and yeah, see you all later, or the next live stream. Bye-bye now.